Well, hello there again, friends. Welcome back to the channel. You wanted it, now you are getting it. The final part of this Corvette saga. I'm Paulie, and this is Paulie's Power Hour. Alright, so here's what we're doing today. Last round of the Corvette, right? We're going to take this old list. We've transferred what's left. Away it goes. Alright, this is what we're doing. He's taking the rest of the wrap off. And, yep. And we're just about ready to connect the battery and fire this thing up to make sure we have some oil pressure. So, yep. Let's get to it. Burning daylight. Mikey's doing is he's taking, hey there bud, he's taking the temperature sender out, and then he's going to stick his thumb, and he dropped it, okay, yep, it's plugged, it's on the floor, there it is. Alright, we are tapeless.
So this sensor came with tape. The problem is that it requires resistance. So with the threads that are on this sensor, and the fact that it's brass, it is designed to actually become more narrow as it screws in, so that it'll close and seal with just it being brass. So you actually don't want for this particular sensor to have any Teflon tape so that the resistance can be met.
And also this is the sensor off of an 81. Alright. So now after this, we can go ahead and hook up the battery, and we're going to fire this thing up still with open headers just to make sure we have oil pressure. Because if we don't have oil pressure, then we're going to, I don't know, drink a beer and consider our life decisions. What you're probably not
Oil pressure.
Yeah, pressure.
Yep. We got a race car!
Mikey hooked the exhaust back up, and I retightened. We had to do some adjusting here, so exhaust is done. Next we're going to do shim the starter, wrap the starter wires, and the passenger side motor mount bolt. And then probably trans fluid and kickdown cable, burp the coolant. Or actually, before we even fire the car up, we're going to do spark plug torque and new plug wire looms. Then start the car, burp the coolant, hard vacuum line, set the timing, and we're off to the races. Since we're going to be messing with the starter, we're going to have Mikey disconnect the battery. Alright, so what we did do is we went and got some of this DEI heat shield, and it's like a loom. See, you can put your wires through it. And it's very important, you want to make sure that your, especially your starter wires, because that's your main battery, comes right off the battery right to the starter. So you want to make sure that that's protected and it doesn't burn up on the headers. He's taking the plug wires off, and he's taking this old loom off, this old heat protectant stuff off here. And yep, we're gonna protect these starter wires properly. There's a bunch in there. All right, so right now Mikey's taking the shims out, and what you want to do is you want to remove the outermost starter bolt. And let me see one of them shims, Mikey. Yeah, so this partial hole here, this slides in this way, so you leave the inner bolt in, this catches the inner bolt, and then this catches that outside bolt that Mikey took all the way out. So are these the two you're putting back in there?
Yeah.
All right. So I put a bunch of shims in there when we were troubleshooting the bent flex plate, thinking that maybe it was just the starter of the flex plate, like not being shimmed properly. Was that right? Maybe, who knows. But it was troubleshooting, I figured it couldn't hurt anything more than was already hurt because it was making a horrendous noise. So we're going to take 4 or 5 of the shims, the 50 shims that I put in there out. And we're going to go ahead and leave 2 in there just to see how it does. Alright, so you missed a few things. We did the exhaust, Teflon tape, we did the kickdown cable, we did a starter blanket. And what happened was we went to go get a part and the Malibu broke on us, and I'll show you all that later. But now we're, running a little out of time, so Mikey's going to turn the key. We're going to set the timing. So here's how this works. We're going to look down here, we're going to have a bunch of numbers on the balancer, which I'll show you. And we're going to look at that tab right there with all the numbers on it. And we're going to turn the distributor clockwise to advance, counterclockwise to retard, and the engine builder wants a total of 34 degrees, correct? 34?
Correct.
34. He wants 34 degrees advance. So we're going to bump this up to 34, and we're going to put the 0 on the 0, and I'll show you that while we're doing it. Easy. We're going to set it at 2200, 2000 RPM plus or minus. That's about where you want to set your total timing. And yeah, go from there. So I'm telling you all this now because once we start the engine, you're not going to be able to hear it because the engine's going to be running. So anything I say, you're not going to be able to hear, or it's going to sound really low and weak. So let's get to it. Let's time this damn thing so we can go for a drive. It's at 2000. Alright, so now we're at the point where we're trying to figure out whether or not the hood is going to close, because it kind of looks like it might not. So I put a couple pieces of Play-Doh up here. Alright, these are the 3 highest spots. So we're going to release the hood. Go ahead, Mikey. Release the hinge. We're going to bring it down. 1, 2, 3. Alright. And you can see the flowers are still standing. Didn't even touch.
And there's no marks on the back of that hood showing where...
So if this were an issue, this would have been smushed down. But it's not an issue. Oh, my bad.
Let's tighten her down.
So I used for that Play-Doh. Believe it or not. Alright, we're going to tighten this thing down, put it on the ground, and take it for a spin. Alright, bring it back. So it's running. It is out of the garage. And it sounds as though it's about to tear your head off. All right, back it out. All right, take it up the street and come back. Safety first, don't hit my Camaro. So the initial test drive went well, but we do have a little bit of an issue. We need to move said hose clamp right there up a little bit to get a little bit more of a bite and clamp down properly on this upper hose. They had a little bit of a leak.
A little spray.
Little spray. That's no big deal. Hey, righto. And aside from a little bit of hesitation that we could probably tune out with the accelerator pump, or maybe increase the timing just a little bit, I think we're pretty good here. All right, test drive is complete. We are taking it to Mikey's house. There it is. We're trailing him in the Malibu just to make sure he gets home okay. There it is, thing of beauty. Thing of beauty. What do you think, Mikey? Are you happy?
Oh my gosh, I never thought, well, I thought
Colton,
this
what
day
do you
would
think?
come, but
Oh, I love it.
COVID-19.
Awesome.
Let's do it. Let's hit the road. Well, I guess that about does it for the great Corvette motor swap. As you can see, it's not here. I'm sweeping up the garage right now, and I'm enjoying a cup of coffee. It drove back to Mikey's house beautifully. I was worried he wasn't going to hammer on it and enjoy it, but he got on it and enjoyed it. And it actually broke the back tires loose at one point. I think I have that on video. But yeah, so there you go. Motor swap. Impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, but that happens, you know. What's important is that it's done. My buddy's got a reliable car now. It runs great, sounds good, sounds great actually. And you know, we bonded, we had some good times, and that's what's important. That's what's important in life. You know what I mean? You gotta enjoy the little things that you can when you got them. Of course, you know, we didn't get everything on tape. But we didn't get everything reported because of the whole Malibu thing, which I'll go into detail on later. But we got everything else done. It runs, it drives, it fires up, it doesn't leak. So far so good. Of course, you know, you run it for a while, you're gonna have to tighten up the header bolts because they'll eventually work their way loose, but yeah, that's no big deal. It is amazing and awesome to me how many views these videos had, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. So, with that being said, I'm Paulie. This is Paulie's Power Hour. Y'all keep it between the ditches, and you come back to see.